Okay, thank you everybody for being on today's Zoom call. We're going to have a quick announcement, a couple of announcements, and then I do have a few great questions that came through. I should have time at the end for other people to submit questions onto the chat. So starting with a couple of announcements. First of all, Dr. Connors did mention this last week, but we have moved, we've relocated. So we are needing people who are going to be shipping in cheek swabs for follow-up testing to be sent to our warehouse, which is at Dr. Kevin Connors, 2261 State Road 35. Bad on my part, I'm getting autocorrects all the time. It is not Somerset, it's Somerset, Somerset. I'm going to type it into the chat. Somerset, Wisconsin. So if you need to copy that and add that into your notes, that is where you will send your cheek swabs to, is our warehouse. And then for in-clinic appointments, that is going to be determined. We have yet to establish at the clinic our exact hours right now at the new space. We're still trying to get everything set up. So if you are local and are needing to come in for therapies or to do thermography, supplement pickups, things like that, please call us at our number 651-739-1248. I'm going to actually start with a question, and then through that, we've got a great announcement. So the first question that came through is, have you ever heard of the book and healing methodology espoused by Dr. Alexander Lloyd in the Healing Code? If so, what is your opinion and experience with the effectiveness of this protocol for addressing stress and healing emotional and spiritual issues? I've heard of this book. I have wanted to read it. I've not had a chance to. So I can't speak to it with any sense of authority. I've heard really, really great things. What I can at least speak to is what we do offer on our website as far as emotional support. And that is the workbook and paperback book written by a friend and fellow practitioner of Dr. Connors and myself. Her name is Megan Van Ziel, and it's called Braving the Storm. We do offer this bundle. You can buy either the book, the workbook, or the two of them as a bundle. On our store, the bundle, as you can see here, is about $51. So it's excellent. Her entire platform is based around the organization or the business that she created called Cancer Peace University. And it is coming alongside people to help them as they walk through this journey. She has helped so many of our patients. A lot of her clients that she has worked with have ended up coming to work with us as patients. We have developed a really great working relationship with her over the years. She's lovely. The announcement then is, in accordance with Cancer Peace University, Megan Van Ziel is doing a Change Your Cancer Story micro summit. That micro summit did start today. And I believe there are 5 different well-known doctors or entrepreneurs that she has drawn into this summit. And there is a new interview each day. So Dr. Connors is one of the ones who was interviewed for her mini summit or her micro summit. And you can find out information on how to sign up for it and listen by going to changeyourcancerstory.com. So again, changeyourcancerstory.com for this micro summit. Its attendance is free to sign up for it. And it's a great way if you are interested in doing some emotional work and would like to get a chance to kind of see what some of these other practitioners are talking about, and then also Megan's perspective on this, and kind of get a feel for Megan's personality and what she's all about. This might be a great option for you. So I'm not sure if she's doing a 24-hour replay once the first one has aired. And it's meant to be in more of a podcast form. So you listen to it as opposed to watching it. But she's She's great. And so we highly recommend signing up for this. So go to changeyourcancerstory.com, go ahead and sign up for that. And then again, she's with Cancer Peace University. That's her business. Next question that came through, I have dry skin and dry mouth. What can I do? What is the issue? Well, first, as far as what is the issue, there can be a lot of health concerns that can lead to dry mouth. And so I'm not going to be able to give you a guarantee on what the issue is. That's why we do testing in our clinic, is so that we, instead of guessing on what might be tied to it, we could probably do a cheek swab and do some testing and see what might be going on. But one of the major reasons why somebody might be dealing with dry mouth is simply dehydration. But a lot of people get dehydration wrong in that they think the way to solve dehydration is just by drinking more water. But there's a greater balance that happens with that. If you are drinking a ton of water during the day, you can actually make yourself more dehydrated than if you do a combination of drinking water as well as consuming cellular support products and consuming minerals. So our recommendation is that if you're dealing with dehydration and you're drinking a lot of water, or you believe you're drinking about as much as you can tolerate, our recommendation is to add in some minerals or pink Himalayan sea salt. Our most robust mineral supplement that we offer on our website is Clear Multi-Min Plus, and I'll add that in on the chat right now. The second item that I have on this list is phosphatidylcholine. Phosphatidylcholine is a lipid which helps to specifically protect your phospholipid bilayer, which is the fatty membrane that supports the outer exterior of your cells. When you deal with chronic inflammation or chronic states of dis-ease in the body, you can destabilize your cellular membrane. Well, when you have a destabilized membrane, it makes it difficult for you to be able to maintain a healthy intracellular and extracellular water balance. And so taking a product like phosphatidylcholine or a product that contains phosphatidylcholine in it can be very helpful in protecting the structural fortitude of your cell membrane and can prevent you from losing that valuable intracellular water balance. The third item, actually, I'm going to put on the chat. The product that we carry is our Body Bio PC, and PC stands for phosphatidylcholine. That is the option. It comes in both a liquid and a large horse pill-like capsule or a gel capsule. The third item on this list is dry brushing. So one of the issues that why people often have dry skin is that through their heightened detoxification process, they're not sloughing enough dead cells off of their body. And so if you can do dry brushing, that helps with that process of sloughing off those dead skin cells and allows newer skin cells to be getting the oxygen that they need to be able to actually absorb any kind of moisture if you do choose to add moisture to your skin. And is just going to be able to help you to also let your skin naturally sweat a little bit better. You won't get as clogged of pores, things like that. So dry brushing can also help with lymphatic flow, which is ultimately going to help with your overall detoxification process. So my recommendation is to start on the error on the side of dehydration, adding in some minerals, maybe some phosphatidylcholine. And then if you wanted to do something topically, I would say don't add more oils. Oils tend to be, especially regularly applying thick oils onto your skin, that actually prevents your skin from breathing. And so, and from sweating and from getting that correct amount of oxygen and interaction with your environment. So I tend to recommend starting with dry brushing. And if after dry brushing, your skin feels incredibly dry and you've been working on your dehydration, then there may be some things that you could do topically to help with alleviating that issue. Next question about HCG tests If you can tell from doing a special HCG urine test and track any cancer's progression, why couldn't you find treatments that target those cells that produce that special hormone? There is a basic cell related to all cancers, right? Well, that's an interesting question. So for those of you who might be new to our program, we offer or I shouldn't say we offer, but we're connected to a laboratory and clinic in the Philippines called the Navarro Medical Clinic. And Dr. Manuel D. Navarro, Sr., who is pictured up here in the right-hand side, he invented a non-invasive tumor marker test called the Navarro HCG test, which tests for the hormone HCG in the body. And if somebody isn't pregnant or menstruating, it can help with tracking cancer cell progression or potentially the presence of cancer cells. So for some of our patients who don't have access to a general practitioner or are just looking for something to do in addition to tumor markers they may be running through their general clinic, this is a urine test, and it's a fairly simple option. So what I want to correct about this understanding is that it's not that there are specific cells which produce HCG or are connected to HCG. Based upon Dr. Navarro's research, and he was an oncologist, the research that he found was that all types of cancer cells either produce or are tied to HCG. And so through that, he was able to find that you could do this almost as a preventative. So he was considering it to be even an option instead of screening, that instead of going and maybe getting a colonoscopy or going in for a mammogram, that you could simply send in a urine sample to him, and through him testing that urine sample could see if there's an elevated spike in HCG. And if there is, then that might be a reason to go in and do additional screening elsewhere or additional testing to see if there actually is a presence of cancer. So it's not that there are specific cells that we can target due to an HCG test. It's simply that we have found a correlation between a higher presence of HCG in the body and a presence of cancer cells or cancer cell activity. The second question that was here is, does Rife have frequencies for that special HCG producing cell? So getting into the same component is that based upon our testing, we are testing for frequencies that are correlated for your type of cancer. It's not that that type of cancer is the only cancer that's producing HCG. It appears based upon Dr. Navarro's testing, and I've not seen a lot of countering research that is completely negating that, but based upon the research that he did, it's that all types of cancer cells can increase that HCG hormone. If you would like to learn a little bit more about that process so you can understand how he came to develop his clinic and what HCG is and does in the body, I recommend checking out their clinic, which is navarromedicalclinic.com. They have a good amount of information. It's not a huge website. They keep it pretty simple, but he's been, his son, who's down here in the lower left-hand corner, he runs the clinic now, and he has been great to interact with. So has been very good to us. Next question, can I eat rabbit regularly? So this kind of gets into your specific dietary recommendations. So do know that when I'm making these recommendations, if you are able to eat this or not able to eat this, just know that I'm not giving the go-ahead for every single person. We have to tailor it down to what your protocol binder says specifically. So per the culinary arts, rabbit meat is considered a form of white meat based upon how it's prepared and served. So white meat is typically considered meat from either fish or from chickens. However, scientifically or biologically speaking, rabbit meat is considered red meat, and that's based upon its chemical makeup. But if you are worried about whether or not you can eat it, you want to go back to your binder then, and we base our recommendations upon the idea that rabbit is a red meat. So you would want to go back to your binder and see what we have placed in your binder for red meat recommendations. If you're to avoid, then maybe eat rabbit on a holiday or on a very special occasion. If it's to limit, then we usually say maybe eat rabbit anywhere from 1 to 3 times in a week, no more than that. If it says that yes, you can eat red meat, we still don't typically recommend eating red meat 3 squares a day, but at somewhere within a balance for you to be able to eat some more red meat. Now, I do want to be very careful in recommending eating a lot of rabbit all the time, even though it can be very good. Rabbit meat has a much higher protein content per serving than most other types of meat out there, higher than beef, turkey. And so if you're only eating rabbit, and I don't know anybody who's only eating this at this time, but I know that people who do a lot of small game hunting and trapping may be eating rabbit. So you just want to be very careful about eating it exclusively, especially if you're not consuming higher amounts of grains and other fruits and veg to balance that out. But for people that are on a really high diet that consists mostly of rabbit because they're trying to get in high protein, there is a condition called rabbit starvation, or what is technically it's protein poisoning, because rabbit is so lean, it has no fat in it, that your body is just getting high uptake of protein all the time. So other meats like beef and chicken, they tend to be a little bit fattier, especially fish too. Fish has a nice fat content. So that's more of a well-rounded meat presentation. So if you're going to eat rabbit, just make sure that you're combining it with a lot of other food options. Next question. Hi, due to an oxalates issue in which many supplements have oxalates, I am so confused about what to take and not. I haven't been taking turmeric after consulting with my liaison, but due to inflammation, you guys said increase my turmeric. I assume she forgot I wasn't taking. Also confused about vitamin C as it can metabolize into oxalates. Please help. Okay, so this has to do with a genetic review. Those of you who are newer to starting with us, you will likely not have done your genetic review as I'm going through this. So if it doesn't make sense, you can certainly take down some notes, especially if you're familiar with oxalates, but just know that a lot of this sort of dietary component will be covered when we go over your custom genetic report. But I want to make one thing very clear for everybody else who has done their genetics and has any concerns about the dietary recommendations that were made based off of your genetic profile. And rule number 1 is that cancer recommendations that we either make in this office or that we utilize via kinesiology testing trumps everything else. So your genetics, what we read on your genetics, is secondary to what we recommend or what we test you for regarding cancer, unless there's a very, very small unless, if there is a significant allergy that's involved, or there are severe symptoms that are noticed after consuming that particular ingredient or food. Otherwise, if you have been tested for, we'll just say turmeric or vitamin C for what you're dealing with the cancer, we're trying to keep you alive. And by helping your immune system fight this cancer, we're much more concerned about that than we're concerned about whether or not you have a single or double allele defect in a gene that might make it difficult for you to handle oxalates that could render you at a higher propensity for things like kidney stones. So remember that your genetic defects, and I talked about this in a previous Zoom call, your genetics are laid out like a irrigation system. It's very complex and there are a lot of small moving parts, but it moves together as a system. And as you clean up your genetics as a whole, as you're detoxifying and eating better and trying to make some minor changes based upon the recommendations that we have made, your whole irrigation system is going to begin to operate better and better and better. And so our goal is for you to have balance with our genetic recommendations, not perfection. Balance is much more important than perfection. And if getting rid of the supplements that we have tested you for that would be beneficial for something like inflammation or beneficial for something like helping your body to actually fight cancer, if getting rid of those things is what's happening for you to think that you're taking our genetic recommendations seriously, then we're kind of missing the boat on that. When you're to be reducing oxalates, that's all that you're to do, is just to reduce, in general, the constant consumption of oxalates, or at least to monitor your symptoms. The most common sign of people who have an issue with clearing oxalates is that they have kidney stones, or that they have that in their family lineage. Mom and dad had, my mom had kidney stones or my dad had kidney stones. Well, it's likely that you've inherited that allele defect. And so that's the most common sign. But if you've never had kidney stones or you don't have them currently, being absolutely perfect in eliminating all oxalates from your diet doesn't necessarily make sense. Often the reason why a double allele defect in a particular, genetic sequence can become a problem is because a lot of the other supporting genes that are either helping it to function or clearing its effects are also pretty dirty and they're just not cleaned up. But usually somebody is able to just take a minor step back from the amount of oxalates they're eating and can usually handle that without too much of a problem. But it's important for you to track your symptoms. So if you have an existing kidney disorder, or if you have kidney cancer, gout, or rheumatoid arthritis, and you notice that if you eat foods that are higher in oxalates, that can cause those symptoms to get worse, then yes, definitely being more strict and lowering your oxalate intake is going to be a good idea. We do have a supplement that does assist with that. It's called Oxalate Scavenger, so that you're not getting rid of all of the fruit and veg that contains oxalates. As you can see here, over 90% of the fruits and vegetables that are out there contain oxalates. So if you were to try to get rid of them, you'd be eliminating. I mean, again, like a lot of the ingredients that are out there, you would essentially be eating ice chips. So again, we want to have balance. We don't want to have perfection. I would rather see somebody reduce some of their dietary options so that they can maintain a better balance in some of the supplements that are coming up. Not every single supplement. Again, I'm not here to push supplements on you, but I am saying that my role and our role as a clinic was to test you for supplements that could assist your immune system in doing what it was supposed to do in the first place prior to you being diagnosed with cancer. So we've had a lot of patients who've come to us and said, I just want to get off of all of my supplements. I just want to tighten up my diet and really focus on getting all of my nutrients from my diet. I've had many patients who've said that. And I've said, you go right ahead and you do that. I will tell you probably 9 times out of 10, that individual will often end up coming back to us and saying, okay, things are getting a little bit worse. What do you think that I can add in to try to support my system? Because unfortunately, what we're dealing with right now in society is a complete degradation of our food supply in every way. from the fertilizers that we use to the way that we just farm our soil and repeatedly rape it year and year after year after year. It's just in the GMOs and the hybridization and all of the things that we do that destroys the nutrient content in our food. If we're dealing with a major state of dis-ease, like cancer, we may not be able to completely right the imbalance in those scales just through diet alone. We may need some additional help. So, as I was saying previous, my recommendation would be if you can tighten up a little bit on the diet side so that it would allow you to take your supplement that has turmeric in it to help you with decreasing your inflammation and your pain, or that would allow you to take that vitamin C so you can improve your body's immune response against the cancer, then I would go in that realm as opposed to wiping out the supplement completely that you've been tested for and trying to just focus on diet and hoping that that's going to take care of it all. You can if you want, but then get back to me if any of those symptoms change for the worse. That's the end of the questions which came in. I did see a couple of questions come through on the chat. Question, I am water fasting today pre-chemo. Is matcha tea or chaga tea, both medicinal, considered supplements, or should I avoid them? No, if it's just matcha powder or chaga powder, I see no problem in you taking them. You're not really getting a high caloric intake. It's not going to spike your glycemic index or blood glucose levels. So I don't see why you can't drink that tea. That sounds good to me. Next question, can HCG in blood test also give same results as a urine test? Dr. Navarro did that exact study. He ran a study where he took, I believe it was 32 patients that had cancer diagnosed, and he ran a urine test to test for HCG, and he ran a blood test to test for HCG. 31 of the urine samples came back with a correct HCG reading in the positive range, and only, I believe, 12 of the blood samples came back as a reading. So the accuracy of doing HCG via urine is much higher than doing it with a blood sample. Next question, chemo supplement rotation protocol lists full spectrum CBD 100 milligrams, but I cannot find that on Connor's store. Is this just a basic supplement I can pick up at my co-op, or where do you recommend we purchase a good clean brand? Yeah, so it's just a general recommendation. A full spectrum CBD means that it has a very small trace amount of THC in it. We do have a couple of different CBD options on our store, but if you can get a brand that is organic from your local health food store or from a trusted dispensary, I would highly recommend going there and doing that. I'm not strict about who you get your exact CBD from. I would just say, just do your research so that you know that they are growing that hemp as clean as possible. Next question, the area around my affected lymph node is extremely red. The large area looks like a strawberry birthmark or a burn or bruise. Could this be from the Rife machine? I'm wondering if this is a good response or bad. Well, that's a great question. So that's definitely inflamed when it's red like that. Is that a bad sign? It depends upon if you see inflammation as a solely bad thing. So inflammation at the site of cancer can be a sign of a heightened immune response. It can also be a sign of increased cancer activity. It's hard to be able to distinguish between the two until you do some form of testing to be able to see what exactly is going on. So It could be, it really could go either way. So my recommendation to you is to kind of walk through some of the checks and balances. How are you feeling? When's the last time that you went in for a tumor marker test? Are you having any other negative symptoms or positive symptoms? And do you have the ability to, oh, I guess, no, that's not it. So things that you can do to support it would be trying to do lymphatic massage, lymphatic detox. So lymphatic massage, lymphatic exercise, dry brushing, like I had mentioned earlier, would help to move that along. It's hard for me to know exactly what it is that you would have to do. I'd probably have to talk with you and come up with a couple of other ideas that might be helpful, but I would not say, I cannot give you a yes or a no as to whether it is a good response or a bad response. It really depends upon all of the other factors combined. So if this still leaves you confused or without direction, maybe you can set up a phone consultation with me and we can talk through it. But my recommendation is, if you haven't done any recent testing to see if it appears like there is some kind of metastasis or growth happening, maybe running your tumor markers again and seeing if there is something that is correlated. I would say that that's a good way to just see what's going on. Next question. On my AK test, they mentioned my liver needing nutritional support. I am taking the recommendation supplement. What else can I do diet related, since my liver is challenged in getting rid of cancer type debris? Well, diet related, no alcohol, low sugar. Dandelion root tea is a great natural way to flush your liver. Dandelion tea is a great support. We test people for dandelion tea when they're dealing with detox issues, or dandelion root extract, I should say. So drinking dandelion tea is a great source of support. I would say just starting with that, plenty of water to be flushing. And then if you're looking for other ways to alleviate the burden off of your liver to do the majority of the work, anytime you're doing sweating, that's going to be helping to alleviate it, because then you are removing toxins out of the largest organ on your body, your skin. And doing things like coffee enemas or castor oil packs. Castor oil packs over the liver will help to stimulate greater liver function. Coffee enemas are also going to dump between 90 to 98% of the toxins that are currently in your liver out of your liver. So those are great additional support options. Next question, if recommendations are to limit animal protein, are eggs included in this? Is it to limit all eggs, fish, and meat to 4 ounces a day altogether, or can I eat eggs at breakfast, fish at lunch, and chicken meat at dinner? Okay, so we tested for eggs separately. So if there should be an indication on in your binder that says whether or not eggs are recommended. If you can have eggs, then you can have eggs as normal. If you are to limit animal protein and it says to limit eggs, then we typically recommend eating meat between 1 to 3 times a week and eggs 1 to 3 times a week. So, and I don't have a specific size that I recommend. I mean, 4 ounces sounds probably good. But I'm not as exact as that. So if all meat and chicken and eggs are limited, then so it's sectioned out. Red meat is one, poultry is another, and eggs is another. So if it was that you were to limit all 3 of those indices, then that would be about 9 times a week would be sort of your maxing out of eating any one of those foods or a combination of those foods. So you could eat red meat about 3 times in a week, poultry about 3 times in a week, and then eggs about 3 times in a week, if that makes sense. Next question. I get very dizzy after the coffee enema and after the sauna therapy to the point that I see everything green. Is this a good sign? To prevent it, I have increased the coffee enemas to 1 per day. I get very dizzy after the coffee enema and after the sauna therapy. So the primary combination that coffee enemas, or the common theme that coffee enemas and sauna therapies would have with each other, is that, first of all, they both aid in detoxification, but second of all, they both have the potential to eliminate electrolytes. So if you're getting dizzy after you're doing a coffee enema or after you're doing a sauna, then what could be happening is that it's getting rid of too many electrolytes. So I would start by going back to, am I drinking enough water, and adding in with that minerals. So earlier in the chat, I had typed down Clear Multimin Plus. I would say taking that for sure after each coffee enema and doing each time you do a sauna, but I wonder if it's something that you should just start on a regular basis. I don't know if getting dizzy after a coffee, so some people will say they get dizzy after a coffee enema simply because they're sensitive to the caffeine. If you're not feeling that caffeine rush, but you're legitimately getting dizzy, it could be because of where you're detoxing from. If you're stimulating such a heightened amount of detox, it could be that you're almost detoxing neurologically. And that can happen as you increase detox throughout the rest of your body, then your brain needs to be able to detox as well. So you could be getting dizzy from that. So what you could do is, so that you could still continue to do these great therapies, is maybe instead of doing them to their full extent, maybe reduce the amount. So let's say you've been in a sauna for a half an hour, and after you got out of the sauna after half an hour, that's when you were dizzy. See if you can handle a sauna for 15 minutes. For a coffee enema, instead of doing a full quart of the coffee, maybe do a half of a quart of the coffee, and then add in water to make it up to the full quart, so that you're diluting the sheer amount of caffeine that you're getting. The less caffeine that you're getting, it doesn't stimulate quite as strong of a detox in your system. So it's possible that that's it. And then you could try to dial that back and see if that makes a difference. So what if it's detox related, what you're having is a Herxheimer reaction, which I would say in some senses is a good thing, except for the fact that I don't want you to trip and fall. So getting dizzy isn't, that in and of itself could be a concern, but is it that something bad is happening? Not if it's stimulating detox. I just don't want you to overly herx so that you feel sick or can't function. If it is mineral related or electrolyte related, we can easily remedy that by just adding in some minerals every single day. So I would start doing both of those. I would dial back the sheer amount of the detox that you're doing, and then try to increase it from there, and add in minerals so that we can start to replenish what you may be losing. I received a direct question. For the past couple of months, I have passed what I suspected were small worms, but was never sure. Ooh, this is going to be a fun one. This last week, I saw one that was quite large, approximately 8 inches. I am taking Candicid Forte, Black Sap Bloodroot, Alovia Immune, SBI Protect, and additional supplements that I was taking prior to working with Connor's Clinic. I'm excited that this is happening and want to nurture and continue the process. Do you think my suspicions are correct? What could be causing this? Yes, it is correct. You are probably passing worms, and it's amazing. So it's going to be gross and it's going to freak you out, but that is awesome. The majority of us humans carry parasites. We make fantastic hosts. And in our very toxic environment that we live in, and with our typical American standard diet that we all tend to partake in, it definitely makes us ripe for the pickings as far as picking up a parasite. So shedding worms after you've started a detoxification process is very normal. When I first started with Dr. Connors as a patient, I passed parasites that I didn't even know existed in this universe. They looked like something that was from a different planet, like aliens came to Earth and then were residing inside of my body. It was horrible, but that's a really good sign. So your questions, do you think my suspicions are correct? Yes. What could be causing this? As your body naturally alkalizes itself, as you become more you bring your body back into a greater sense of balance, those parasites cannot continue to exist. So they exist in a dirty, acidic, unhealthy environment. As you clean yourself up, they can't feed off of anything then. So then they end up, it's really not going to happen very often that a live worm is going to come out when you use the bathroom. They're typically almost always dead. So it's too bad that you don't live locally. I have been begging patients who live locally to, if they ever pass a worm, put it in a bottle of vodka and bring it into me, because I want to see it. I want to see what your body is succeeding to get rid of, because that is awesome. Okay. And also, so you're already starting to pass these parasites. If you wanted to take another supplement, we do have supplements that are specifically for parasites. Your body is already ridding yourself of them. But I know that if I was in your shoes, I would be looking at what is coming out of my body and going, what can I do to get rid of more of these, and as rapidly as possible? So there are some supplements on our store that help with passing parasites. One is called Provermifuge, and I'm going to type it into the chat for everyone. And Provermifuge is a great option for more intestinal worms. If you're thinking that you're dealing with anything with the liver, and that would be harder to diagnose. Typically, that's something that you'd have to do through testing. But Paratocin is another supplement that helps with parasites like liver flukes. So it can help to clear a potential parasitic infection in the liver. But Provermifuge is the ideal one. That's actually what we've often recommended if we've had patients who'd like to do kind of an annual cleanse in the spring. If you want to do an annual cleanse in the spring, you take several of those every morning until the bottle's gone. And that just helps your body to slough off any potential parasites that have taken root throughout the winter months. Okay, it is 4:48. Just checking the time. Oh, I got another message back from our little parasite patient. I am equally excited. I have pictures if you would like to see. Yes, I do. Email me pictures. Send me your worms. Every time, and maybe this is showing my age group, but every time somebody tells me they have a parasite, I can't help but hear the Dumb and Dumber line when they are wanting to start a worm company titled I Got Worms. I just think of that every time. I love that. Okay, another question. I will have chemo in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Is there anything you recommend to prepare myself for it? Yes. If you are having chemo, in the near future, then I would have you connect with your liaison to have her send you the chemo protocol. We have two different types of chemo protocols. The first chemo protocol is called for intermittent. So let's say somebody was going in, they go in for an infusion, and then 3 weeks later, they go in for another infusion. And so it's spread out. That's considered intermittent. So then we would get you that protocol. If you are doing chemo on a daily basis, we have a lot of patients who take a daily chemo pill, then we would provide you with a different protocol that's tailored to taking the chemo pill daily. So get in touch with your liaison and ask her to send you the chemo protocol, and she'll be able to get right on that. Another question, the chemo protocol includes Evolve Immune. If I have Hashimoto's, should I avoid this one until I recheck post-chemo? No, I would say your autoimmune system takes a back seat to what's going to happen when you're flooding your veins with mustard gas. So I would say do the Evolve Immune to boost your body. Next question, should everyone do a parasite cleanse in the spring with Provermifuge, or who should? I would say if your body is feeling like you are, like you have some extra energy to give. We have some patients that they're doing all that they can to get their supplements in, to get their therapies in, and they're on a hard road right now. I would say that based upon our testing, that they should just stick to the basic protocol that we've lined up for them to be able to give their system, they're already maxed out. And so if you feel like you're in a place where you can add in another supplement, you can play with that, and that's not going to tip you over the edge or overwhelm your system. Yeah, go for it. I think it's very good, especially if you have not been eating as clean as you'd like, and you've never done one of these before, and you just want to see if you can flush anything. Not everybody is going to flush anything that they can see. Only some of us really special ones, us really extra dirty people, myself included, are going to flush something that's pretty big. But I think it would be worth it, and maybe not even every year. You could even do it once every few years or something like that. But sure, if you've got some extra energy to give to it and you feel like you could tolerate another supplement, definitely go for it. Next question, you recommended IV vitamin C. I'm a bit able to locate them. I'm not able to locate them locally at this time. Can I supplement with regular vitamin C? Dr. Mercola offers a liposomal one. How much would be safe? So I can't tell you exactly how much would be your specific dosage to do for liposomal. You can totally do liposomal vitamin C if you can't get a hold of an IV clinic that's near you. So that's perfectly fine. How much would be, I would say if you're going to start liposomal C on your own, then I would just follow the recommended dosing on the back of the bottle. Or if you do a little bit of research into, what certain clinics have recommended in general, sometimes they come out with general protocols. If you're going to do liposomal C, go by X number of milliliters per kilogram of body weight, etc. But one of the benefits of vitamin C is that it's hard for you to hit levels where you would truly overdose on it. Liposomal is fat soluble, so you will hit a limit, but as long as you follow at the very minimum, the dosage on the back of the bottle, but we've had patients who've doubled, tripled, and quadrupled that dosage and are perfectly fine. Next question, my protocol says daily, but I am having weekly doses. Do I have the right one? Yeah, if you're going in every single week, it's probably better for you to just continue with the daily one. So your liaison knew the correct one when you told her what your program was that you were doing. Your liaison was aware of the differentiation. So we get some people who are doing where they'll go in and they'll do an infusion 2-3 days in a row, and then they'll be off for a couple of weeks and then do 2-3 days in a row. It's hard because there can be some nuances in there. But just know that your liaison is in close communication with me and Dr. Connors. And so when we knew what your program was going to consist of, we gave you the one that would probably best suit you. You're welcome. All right, it is 4:54. I've got time for just a couple more questions. Craving butter or fats so much, but no dairy for me. Well, if you're craving fats, there are all kinds of good fats that are out there. So, I mean, there's avocado, there's coconut, there's different sorts of nut butters that are available. I mean, there are so, I mean, this was a direct message, so some of you didn't see it. I received a direct message. So there's a lot of option for fats. Now, remember, when dairy is a no-go for you, you want to stay away from dairy. But again, if it's a special occasion, you can have a little bit of butter. There are some really great dairy-free cheeses that are out there. I hope that you're starting to, connect with some of your local co-ops and find some of those cheeses and give them a try. They really shouldn't be called cheeses, but cheese-like items. And some of them are really clean. There are wonderful cashew cheeses that are pretty much just a type of a yeast or bacteria that's added, and cashews and maybe some herbs. And then they go through this whole process of turning it into this incredible cheese. So I would start digging into some of those things. And then when you find them, buy like a flatbed truck full of them and then start eating them on everything. Because it's nice when you can find that. Also, olive oil makes a really great dipping sauce. If you're going to eat some bread, toast up some bread like they do over in Europe, and make a nice big bowl of olive oil and grated salt and some pepper, and dip that bread in there and enjoy that and get some good fat in that way. Next question, can you run your Ion ProWave bath on any of the Rife programs, like for tinnitus? Yes, so I have to be very careful to make this point clear, and I'm going to type it as I write it. You can run any bulb program as a bath program. Or no, as an Ion ProWave. Let me correct that. As an Ion ProWave, and I'm going to send that into the chat. You cannot run any Ion ProWave program as a bulb program. There's a big distinction. So, as we've talked about before, Ion ProWave programs, the significance of an Ion ProWave program is that it's higher hertz frequencies. When Mike at True Rife and his cohort of little engineering geniuses developed their version of a Rife machine, they wanted to create a generator and a delivery system that had a great deal of stability. So up to about 20,000 hertz, you can utilize the bulb, and that allows that Tesla tube to maintain its stability. Anything above that, and that bulb can destabilize, and it can blow the transistor or can blow a fuse. And so that's why they developed the Ion ProWave. The purpose of the Ion ProWave originally was not to detoxify you through the foot bath. It was to be a more stable and effective delivery system for higher hertz frequencies, upwards of 2 to 3 million hertz. So it's an incredibly effective delivery system. So you just want to make sure that you're not accidentally, if you're going to run a bulb program as a bath, that you're not then flipping that so that you can run a bath program on the bulb. I hope that makes sense to everybody. But yes, let's say you have tinnitus, or let's say you have a parasite. Let's say you think you have a parasite and you found a bulb program that seems to be speaking to you about some kind of fun 8-inch long intestinal worm, and you want to try to see if you can just stimulate that to a stronger effect. You can go ahead and you can run that on a foot bath if you want to. I'm not so sure that you may not pull a worm out of your toe while you're doing the Ion Pro Wave, but you can choose to run it as a foot bath. Is that going to make that program more effective for you? That's to be determined. So with every single one of those frequencies that's run on the Ion Pro Wave, you have the potential added benefit of having it draw out into the water if your body hits on a frequency that it's willing to give something up. It's not a guarantee, but it's a possibility. So if you're running that, what would normally be a bulb program as a bath, and you happen to see a major change in the water that goes beyond just the general light caramel color of the ionization, you can certainly do that. And that would be a sign that your body really did have something it wanted to give up. So you could run that for flu programs. Yeah, anything like that. That's a great question. I just need to make sure that you guys do not run your bath programs on the bulb setting. You will blow your transistor. Okay, last question, and then I have to get off the chat. Is there a best order for therapies? I am currently doing Rife Ion Cleanse, castor oil packs, coffee enemas, saunas, rebounding, dry brushing, etc. I have heard that doing a foot bath while doing a sauna session helps the body release toxins. Or is there a good way to double up to save time, like castor oil pack while doing the foot bath? Is there an order that will give the best detox results? That's a great question. I would say yes, you can do castor oil packs while you do a sauna. You can do really a castor oil pack pretty much anytime. We have people who do castor oil packing while they sleep at night. So an ion cleanse, you could probably do an ion cleanse while you dry brush. As far as orders go, I had heard a patient one time had done research, and I never ended up getting the source that she was reading. But what she said is she had been reading that there was this one doctor who said that you want to do a sauna session, and then you follow up the sauna session with doing a coffee enema. And I thought that was interesting. So I thought that I would give that a try. So over this past winter, I've been trying to do the combination, is that once a week, I will do like a big dry brushing, and then I'll go in for a sauna and slough off a bunch of the extra dry skin that's on my body. And then when I get out, while I'm still kind of hot and sweating, before I jump in the sauna to allow my body to cool down, but without just standing there bored out of my mind until I jump in the shower, I will do a coffee enema. And I can't say that I've noticed some major difference. If there is a percent difference, it certainly could be fractional. But that was what she had studied. And so I thought that I would give it a try. I like that sequence. I don't think that you have to do it. Let's see, what else? Well, I mean, you can pretty much be doing anything while you're doing the Rife. You can bring the Rife machine. We have a lot of patients who put their Rife machine on a rolling cart. And so if they're going to be cooking dinner and they want to, it'll take them an hour and a half to cook dinner and sit down to eat dinner at their little kitchen table. They'll roll the Rife machine into the kitchen, queue up a program, and they set the bulb right there on the counter. And there it is, flapping away while they're doing their dinner prep, their meal prep. So, I mean, you can make everything happen while you're doing the Rife machine. You could lay it down next to your yoga mat while you do yoga or exercise. We have, I think, another patient who's on this call She has figured out a way to take the bulb and sneak it under the door, I think it is, of her sauna, so that while she's doing her sauna sessions, she has the Rife machine, the bulb right in there, emitting those frequencies while she's doing the sauna. So I don't think that there's a bad combination of ways to do therapies. I think if you find ways to be able to double up on them, that seems efficient to you and helps you feel like you're not just having a day in and day out of doing one therapy after the next, then totally combine them. I think that's great. And if you happen to notice that by doing a certain combination of therapies that you feel a lot better, or that you've noticed a better result, please send an email in to the clinic and put attention Michelle, and let me know if you notice anything. I'm always willing to pass along great data to patients, or ask me to make a Zoom announcement. And I would be very happy to make an announcement on one of our Zoom calls to be able to share that with other people so that they can continue to benefit. I certainly don't, oh, you're welcome. I certainly don't have all of the answers as far as like, what is the best combination? There are probably millions of combinations out there where you could take this, drink this amount of water, and then you get into the sauna, and then you get out, and then you take this certain supplement, and then you do this other therapy. I mean, I'm sure that there is an entire country club that is meant to be developed that is just going to take people through all of these amazing therapies one after the other in perfect research fashion. I don't know all of that, but I'm always willing to learn, always willing to interact with you guys. If you think you've stumbled upon something that really works, or found a unique way to do therapies that you want to pass along, I want to be able to help all of you as much as possible. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, it's 5:06 my time. It's been wonderful answering all of your questions. Thank you so much for participating. We love all of you, and looking forward to seeing you back here next week. Take care.